The Ghoul's Hunger, Friday, September 18, 1925, Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but the heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now, the call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There is something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching the progress, but I won't be holding my breath. Part 1. The Gathering. You and your partners have been investigating strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there's something else going on. You are gathered together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. For setup, we are instructed to gather various encounter sets, starting with the gathering itself. The gathering consists of 17 cards, which includes the scenario card. Then we have the agenda deck, consisting of 3 cards. The act deck also consists of 3 cards. Then we have a few locations: the study, the hallway, the attic, the cellar, and the parlor. We have a scenario card, and we have 3 encounter cards. The second encounter set would be the Swarm of Rats, which consists of 3 copies of Swarm of Rats. Then we have the Ghouls, which is made of 7 cards, including 4 enemies and 3 treacheries. After the Ghouls, we have the Striking Fear encounter set, which also consists of 7 cards. Then we have Ancient Evils, 3 copies of Ancient Evils. And finally we have the Chilling Cold encounter set, consisting of 4 cards. Okay, the second step instructs us to put the study location into play, set each other location aside out of play. Each investigator begins play in the study. The third step instructs us to set the Ghoul Priest and Lita Chandler cards aside out of play. And the final step, we have to shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards from the previously gathered encounter sets to form the encounter deck. Welcome to another playthrough of Arkham Horror the card game. Today we are playing the first scenario of the Night of the Zealot campaign using Roland Banks. We have set up the scenario as instructed. Each investigator starts the game at the study. The remaining locations have been put aside out of play, and we have built the encounter deck from the encounter sets that we had to gather. So before we continue, important to note, we are playing on expert difficulty. I have put out the tokens that we will use on expert. Here we have a 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, 2 minus 4, 1 minus 5, minus 6, minus 8, 2 skull icons, 1 cultist marker, 1 tablet, 1 autofail, and 1 elder sign. And in order to make some space, we will first of all put these chaos tokens into our chaos bag. So the chaos bag is prepared. There's also one thing to notice. When we play on expert, we have a scenario card which is double-sided. One side is for hard and expert, the other one is for easy and standard. As we are playing on expert, we have to use the following for the chaos markers with symbols. The skull would be a -2, and if we fail a test, we have to search the encounter deck and discard pile for a ghoul enemy and draw it, shuffle the encounter deck. The cultist marker reads, reveal another token. If you fail, take 2 horror. And the tablet would modify our skill value by -4. If there is a ghoul enemy at your location, take 1 damage and 1 horror. Next, we will give a quick look at Roland Banks. Okay, so Roland Banks the Fat. He has a willpower of 3, a base intellect of 3, a combat value of 4, and an agility of 2, and the following reaction. After you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location, limit once per round. The Elder Sign effect increases the skill value by +1 for each clue on your location. So we have a total hit points of 9 and 5 sanity. Okay, so the chaos bag is prepared. We took our 5 starting resources. We have Roland Banks here. We start the game at the study. Let's look at the study shortly. So each location card has a revealed side and a locked side. The locked side is identified by this symbol, and when you enter a location, you can flip it to see the revealed side of the location. And here we can see that the study has a shroud value of 2 and comes into play with 2 clues per investigator. So we will place 2 tokens, 2 clues on the study, 1, 2. Before we start, we will first of all also look at our player deck. So we only use cards from the core set. We have Roland's unique cards, Roland's 38 special, and his unique weakness cover up. For our basic weakness, we have chosen Stubborn Detective because he fits thematically the best. And then we have 2 copies of Beat Cop, 2 guard dogs, 2 machetes, 2 first aids, 2 physical training, 2 dodge, twice evidence, 2 copies of Dynamite Blast, 2 copies of Vicious Blow. So this would be the Guardian cards. Next we have the neutral cards, 2 copies of Knife, Flashlight, Emergency Cash, Guts, Unexpected Courage, and 2 copies of Overpower. We will now shuffle the decks. The decks are shuffled. We will now start our starting hand, consisting of 5 cards. We are allowed to take a single mulligan, and we will mulligan the following 3 cards and draw 3 new cards from the top of our deck. Oh nice, we have a beat cop. Okay. So the set aside cards will shuffle back into our deck. So each round, let's look at the round sequence card to have an overview. So each round has 4 phases. It always starts with the Mythos phase. In the first round, the Mythos phase is skipped. Then it moves on to the investigation phase, the player phase where we play cards and prepare. Then we move to the enemy phase where enemies will attack us or move towards us. And finally we have the upkeep phase where all the cards will be readied for the next turn. We'll also get to draw 1 card and gain a resource during the upkeep phase. Yeah, that's the round sequence. And before we finally start, we will quickly read the first card on the agenda deck and the first card on the act deck. So let's read them first. What's going on? It is late at night. You are holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. Trapped. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You are trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. Okay, so as we have seen, the agenda card advances when we have 3 Doom in play, and we can advance in the act deck when we spend 2 clues. Those 2 clues are currently at the study, so we have to collect them in order to advance. Now we can start with the first round. We skip the Mythos phase, go straight to the investigation phase. Okay, so I really would like to play out the beat cop, but I kind of fear the encounter card Crypt Chill, which discards one of our asset cards. And because of that, we will first of all only drop the machete. So the machete is an asset that costs 3 resources and takes up 1 hand slot. We have a fight action on that card. You get +1 for this attack for your combat value. If the attacked enemy is the only enemy engaged with you, this attack deals +1 damage. So for our first action, we will play the machete. We pay 3 resources, 1, 2, 3. Next, we will draw a card for our second action. Okay, we have immediately drawn our basic weakness card. This is the Stubborn Detective. So he has a combat value of 3, 2 hit points, and the agility of 2. The following keywords, Prey and Hunter, and the following text, game effect. While Stubborn Detective is at your location, treat your investigator as if his or her printed text box were blank. And when he attacks us, he deals us 1 damage. Okay, while we have him in play, then we'll try to defeat him. We will use our machete in order to attack the Stubborn Detective. So the machete increases our combat value by +1, bringing us up to 5. So we would have an advantage of +2, but we will also commit one copy of Overpower to the skill test, and this will increase our combat by 2 more. If this test is successful, we draw 1 card. So this is a skill card and can only be committed to skill tests. So with the Overpower, we would be at 7 against 3, which means we have an advantage of +4. Okay, let's see what we have drawn. Okay, we have drawn a -3, which is perfect. We had an advantage of +4, so the attack was successful, and we deal 2 damage to the stubborn detective as we attacked with the machete. This is enough to defeat the detective, and instead of placing him in the discard pile of the encounter deck, we'll place him into our discard pile. Okay, we committed Overpower. The test was successful. We are allowed to draw a card from the effect. We draw First Aid. Okay. So our turn ends. We took our 3 actions. There are no enemies in play, so we will immediately go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, and gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. And we have drawn Dissonant Voices, so this card comes into our threat area. Put Dissonant Voices into play in your threat area. You cannot play assets or events. Forced, at the end of the round, discard Dissonant Voices. So this turn we cannot play any cards. And we will use the opportunity to take 3 resources with our 3 actions, 1, 2, 3, and our turn. Go straight up to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, and gain a resource. At the end of the round, we can discard Dissonant Voices. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. And we have drawn Grasping Hands. So this card's Revelation effect reads: test your agility against the difficulty of 3. For each point you fail by, take 1 damage. Okay, we have a basic agility of 2, and currently we have no cards in hand. We could commit Roland's 38, but we won't. Instead, we will just draw a Chaos token from the back. We have drawn a 0. Okay, so that means that the test failed by 1 and we take 1 damage. This is absolutely fine. Okay, moving on with the investigation phase. For our first action, we will play Roland's 38 special. So this card is also an asset that costs 3 resources and also takes up 1 hand slot. In total, we have 2 free hand slots. After playing Roland's 38 special, we are not allowed to play any more assets that take up hand slots unless we discard 1 in play. So it comes into play with 4 ammo. As an action, we can spend an ammo to fight. We get +1 for a combat value. And if there's 1 or more clue at our location, we get +3 instead. This attack deals +1 damage. So we pay our 3 resources, 1, 2, 3, and the card comes into play with 4 ammo, 1, 2, 3, 4. For our second action, we will play the Beat Cop. The Beat Cop costs 4 resources and takes up an ally slot. It is an ally, and as long as the Beat Cop is in play, we get +1 to our combat value. We can assign 2 damage to horror to him, and during a player action window, we can discard the Beat Cop to deal 1 damage to an enemy at our location. So we'll place him next to us and we pay our remaining 4 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have one more action left, and with that we will just take a resource and end our turn. Continuing with the upkeep phase, we ready all cards, draw a card, and gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place our third Doom token on the agenda. This causes the agenda to advance. And we will first of all read the story text. A lapse in time. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. Okay, and the game effect is the lead investigator must decide, choose one. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror, and we will discard 1 card at random from our hand. Let's do that first. So we have currently 5 cards in hand, and we will roll a die. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a 6. Okay, I don't know if this was visible, but we rolled a 5, so the overpower has to be discarded. Okay, we also have to draw 1 encounter card during the Mythos phase, and we have drawn Ancient Evils. So this treachery reads, place 1 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. But before we place a Doom, we will once again read the story card on the second agenda card. Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. Now we will place our Doom token, and the agenda advances when there's 7 Doom in play. Moving on with the upkeep phase. Okay, for our first action we will play the first aid. So this card costs 2 resources and does not take up any slots. It's an asset. It comes into play with 3 supplies. And if first aid has no supplies, we have to discard the card. We can spend 1 supply as an action to heal 1 damage or horror from an investigator at our location. So we pay our 2 resources, and this would be our first action. And with the remaining 2 actions, we will take 2 resources and end our turn. 1, 2. Okay, still no enemies in play, so we will move straight to the upkeep phase, ready all cards. And I just remembered that we have to put some supplies on first aid. Ready all cards, then we draw a card and gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. And we have Ancient Evils again. So we have seen this card before, we just place 1 more Doom on the agenda. back to the investigation phase. For our first action, we will play emergency cash. This time we play an event. It costs 0 and gives us 3 resources. So we play this card for our first action and we gain 3 resources. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 2 more actions left. So we cannot play the knife because our hand slots are covered. Same for our ally slots. In this case, we will draw a card for our second action. And we have drawn a second copy of the machete. And for our final action, we'll just take a resource and end our turn. Again, we go straight to the upkeep phase as we have no enemies in play. Ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. Oh, this time we have Obscuring Fog. So the revelation effect reads, attach to your location, limit 1 per location. Attached location gets +2 Shroud. And then there's a forced effect. After attached location is successfully investigated, discard Obscuring Fog. Okay, so we'll attach this card to our location. There's a fog in the study, which makes it harder to find clues, which is absolutely fine for the moment, hopefully. Okay, back to the investigation phase. Our hand limit is 8. We have currently 5 cards in hand. So for our first action, we will draw a card. And we have drawn Dynamite Blast. Yeah, then let's see. Okay, we'll just, I would say we take 2 resources and end our turn. 1, 2. And go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda and hopefully we draw an enemy. Nice, we have a swarm of rats, perfect timing. So a relative easy enemy. He just has a fight value of 1, 1 hit point and the agility of 3 and the hunter keyword. If he attacks us, he deals us 1 physical damage. So for our first action, we will immediately attack the swarm of rats using our machete. So, and we have the beat cop in play, so our combat value is increased by +2. We would be at 6 attacking against 1, which means we have an advantage of +5. Okay, and we have drawn the tablet. So as we have seen before, the tablet modifies our skill value by -4. We were at 6, -4 brings us down to 2, is still enough to defeat the swarm of rats. We deal 2 damage, only 1 is required to defeat the enemy. And we can place it into the discard pile. Now Roland's reaction triggers. We have defeated an enemy. We get to discover 1 clue at our location and continue with the investigation phase. We have 2, 4, 7 cards in hand. So not sure if we should draw more cards. Eventually we will have to discard cards. So maybe but we're still looking for physical training and a flashlight would be nice. What else? Actually we have a good setup, but we still need physical training. So anyways, I would just say we take 2 more resources in this turn and end our turn. 1, 2. Okay, still no enemies in play. We are going to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, and gain a resource. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda. We have currently 6 out of 7, and we draw 1 encounter card, and we have another swarm of rats. Seems like the study is full of rats, which comes to our favor because we are looking for enemies that gives us clues. So we'll just repeat the last turn. We will immediately attack the swarm of rats using our machete. Okay, and we have drawn a -2, which is enough, so the test was successful. We again deal 2 damage and defeat the swarm of rats, gaining 1 more clue from Roland's reaction or ability. Okay, the timing was very good because we can now advance. We have the 2 clues which we needed to advance, so we'll just spend them. The door on the floor. You notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Let's quickly read the game text. So it says, put into play the set-aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. Discard each enemy in the study. Place each investigator in the hallway and remove the study from the game. So as we remove the study from the game, we will also discard Obscuring Fog. We'll bring in the hallway. Each investigator starts at the hallway. Then we have the cellar, the attic, and the parlor. Okay, and before we move on, we also read the story text on Act 2A. The barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. And let's look at the objective here. So the objective reads, when the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So we need 3 clues to advance. Okay. From the hallway, we can move to the attic and to the cellar. So this is indicated by the following symbols. Maybe I want to show them. So whenever you're at a location, the symbols below here will show you to which other location you can move. And in this case, if you, for example, look at the attic, so the symbol of the attic matches with this symbol, so we can move from the hallway to the attic. And the same works for moving to the cellar and to the parlor. However, the locked side of the parlor has a text. So this card says, The entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. Okay. There's also some flavor text on the locked side of location cards, which sometimes can give you a hint of what to expect when moving to the location. For example, in this case, the attic reads, "The smell of rotten meat assaults your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs." So whatever you do with the hint, there's definitely a hint to look up for when playing new scenarios. I've played this already numerous times, so I know what I have to expect. And yeah, after all this reading, we will continue with the investigation phase. We have 2 more actions left. For our first action, we defeated the swarm of rats. Then we advanced. Now we will move to the cellar and we will reveal the, or we will just reveal the location, turning it around. So the cellar has a shroud value of 4 and comes into play with 2 clues per investigator and has the following force effect. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. And the cellar has a victory 1, which means when we collect, or let's say when we finish the game and there are no clues on locations with victory points, we are allowed to place that location to our victory pile. For that we need to discover 2 clues on it. And as we move to the cellar, we have to take 1 damage. We place it on our beat cop. Okay, 1 more action left. Yeah, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 cards in hand. So drawing is not a good idea. We'll most likely have to discard 1 card after the upkeep phase. So for our final action, we just take a resource and end our turn. Okay, I have to drink a little bit of water. Okay, still no enemies in play. We go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource. At the end of the upkeep phase, we have to check our hand size. We have currently 9 cards in hand, so we have to discard 1 card from our hand. And in this case, we will discard the knife. Okay, we did all of that. So in the Mythos phase, we place our 7th Doom. The agenda advances. We remove all Doom in play, turn the card around, read the story text first. The tunnels below. A feral beast, roughly humanoid with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. And now we'll look at the game effect. So the agenda instructs us to shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul enemy is discarded. The lead investigator draws that enemy. First things first. Okay. Let's discard. No, the first card we discarded is a ghoul enemy. We have the Ravenous Ghoul. It's a stronger enemy with a combat value of 3 hit points, and agility of 3. He has the prey keyword, and when he attacks, he deals 1 damage and 1 horror. And we also have to draw one encounter card during the Mythos phase. Okay, we have drawn Dissonant Voices. We have seen this card before. We cannot play any assets or events from our hand. And before we move to the investigation phase, we quickly read the story text on agenda 3A. They are getting out. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing at everything in their way. Okay, and the card has two forced effects. Let's see. So the first forced effect reads, at the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves one location towards the parlor, and the second one, at the end of the round, place one doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or parlor. And the card advances when there's 10 doom in play. Back to the investigation phase. We will immediately attack the Ravenous Ghoul. This time we will use our 38 special. We will spend 1 ammo. This will increase our combat by +3 as we have clues on our location. And we have the Beat Cop, which also increases our combat value by +1, bringing us up to 8. We attack against a difficulty of 3, which means we have an advantage of +5. And we will commit Vicious Blow to the test. So Vicious Blow is also a skill card, which increases our combat value by +1 and has the following effect. If this skill test is successful during an attack, that attack deals +1 damage. So with Vicious Blow, we will be at 9 against 3, which means we have an advantage of +6. That should be enough. The only tokens that can ruin us would be the -8 and the autofill token. Okay, then let's just draw this one. And we have drawn a -2. Perfect. So the attack was successful. We used the 38 special and Vicious Blow, which means we deal a total of 3 damage. +1 here, +1 here, which leads to 3 damage in total. The Ravenous Ghoul is defeated. And committing cards is not using them. So you can have Dissonant Voices in play and still commit cards to skill tests. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we defeated an enemy. We use Roland's ability and discover 1 clue at our location. That went well. We have 2 more actions left. We cannot play any cards anyways. 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hands. That we need physical training. So maybe we'll draw a card for our second action. I mean, we cannot play any card anyways, but I'm not sure which option is better. Maybe so 2, 4, 6. Which card? We would have to discard 1 card. We could discard 1 guard dog. Okay, let's draw a card for our second action, and we have a flashlight. Nice. Maybe we'll replace the machete, but not yet. We'll first of all take a resource for our final. Oh, we cannot play cards anyway, so take a resource and end our turn. Move to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, and gain a resource. At the end of the upkeep phase, we will discard Guard Talk. And we are allowed to discard Dissonant Voices. In the Mythos phase, we place one Doom Agenda and draw one encounter card. Okay, we have drawn a swarm of rats. They are hunting us, and we will attack them using our machete. We have a combat value of 6 against 1, so we have an advantage of +5. Okay, let's draw this one. And we have drawn the Skull token, which is a -2, and 6 minus 2 is 4. The skill test was successful. We deal 2 damage, and the swarm of rats is defeated. We then use Roland's ability to discover one clue at our location. For our second action, we will move back to the hallway. And I kind of at this point we really need the physical training, so we most likely discard another guard dog. Okay, I would say we draw one more card for our third action, and we have drawn dodge. Then we go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, nice, and gain a resource. We check our hand size. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cards in hand. So this turn we have to discard 2 cards, and in this case we will throw away first aid and guard dog. Okay, in the Mythos phase, we place one Doom on the agenda and draw one encounter card. Another swarm of rats. Okay, unbelievable. But it kind of works out for us. It's a very easy to defeat enemy. But this time we will not attack the rats immediately. We will first of all move to the attic and take an attack of opportunity. So anytime you are engaged with an enemy and you are not attacking, evading, or using a parlor action, was it called parlor? I don't know. Anyhow, if you're not using any of these 3 actions, before you can take an action, this enemy is attacking you. So we initiate the movement to the attic, but before we can fully resolve the movement, we'll take 1 damage and place it on Roland. So the rats have attacked us. Then the action can be initiated or resolved. We then move to the attic, and the attic has a shroud value of 1, comes into play with 2 clues per investigator, and the following force effect: after you enter the attic, take 1 horror. So the horror we will place on our beat cop. Next we will attack the swarm of rats using our machete. Oh, and we'll have to place 2 clues on the location. And we have drawn a -5. So we were at 6 minus 5 is 1. In order to be successful, we just need equal to higher the test. So we test 1, and -5 brings us down to 1, which is enough to be successful. We deal 2 damage to the rats and defeat them again. A house full of rats. We can then use Roland's ability and discover one clue. And for our final action, we will play the physical training. This is an asset that costs 2 resources, and during a player window we can spend 1 resource to increase our willpower or our combat value by +1, and this can be done a numerous of time. You can spend any number of resources to increase your combat value for a skill test or your willpower. And we will place this card here, pay 2 resources, and end our turn. We'll then go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource, check our hand size. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 cards in hand. In the Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda, and we draw 1 encounter card, and we have a Ghoul minion. Okay, finally a new enemy. So the Ghoul minion has a combat value of 2, 2 hit points, agility of 2, and when he attacks, he deals 1 damage and 1 horror. We will attack the Ghoul minion using our 38 special. I think we should be able to, we defeat him, we move to the hallway, take 3 resources, and fight the Ghoul Priest. That's a plan. So we use our 38 special, spend 1 ammo to attack the Ghoul minion. Again, we have a clue at our location, so the 38 increases our combat value by +3 instead of +1. We have the beat cop. So in total, we would have a combat value of 8 against 2, which means we have an advantage of +6, and we would fail to a -8 or to the auto fail token. And the attack deals +1 damage, so 2 damage. We have drawn a -4, which is enough to take out the Ghoul minion. Actually, it's 2 damage, not 4. And we again use Roland's ability to discover 1 clue at our location. Okay, we have 2 more actions left. For our second action, we will play Emergency Cache. We have seen this card before. We gain 3 resources, 1, 2, 3. And for our third action, we will move back to the hallway because we will advance now, and we have to be in the hallway to advance. The only thing I fear right now is that we draw cover up. There's no options anymore to remove cover up. We have discovered all the clues in the game. So if this, our last card is cover up, we'll take a trauma, which we want to avoid. Hopefully this is not cover up. Other than that, we took our 3 actions. We go to the upkeep phase, ready all cards, draw a card, nice, and gain a resource. Check our hand size. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 cards in hand, which is fine. Now, so the objective reads when the round ends. Spend 3 clues to advance. We'll just do that. 1, 2, 3. Breaking the barrier. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. Let's look at the game effect. So the barrier blocking passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. So we'll reveal the parlor first. And the parlor has a shroud value of 2, comes into play with 0 clues. There's a resign action and also a Story effect, game effect. While Lita Chandler is not controlled by a player, she gains a parlay action. Test your intellect by 4. If you succeed, take control of Lita Chandler. Let's see what else we have to do. Put the set-aside Lita Chandler into play in the parlor and spawn the set-aside Ghoul Priest in the hallway. So we will bring in Lita Chandler in the parlor, and we have the Ghoul Priest, which spawns in the hallway, so he'll be engaged with us in combat. The Ghoul Priest has a combat value of 4, has 5 hit points per investigator and agility of 4. The following keywords: Prey, Hunter and Retaliate. Victory 2, and deals 2 damage and 2 horror. So as he spawns in the hallway, he's immediately engaged with us in combat. Okay, finally we can also look at Lita Chandler. It's just an ally, and when we control this ally, we get +1, or each investigator at our location gets +1 at their combat value. As a reaction, when an investigator at your location successfully attacks a monster enemy, that investigator deals +1 damage. Very powerful card. Okay, so before we continue, we also give a quick look at the story text of Act 3A. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlor, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing towards you. So the objective on that card is, if the Ghoul Priest is defeated, advance. So once we defeat the Ghoul Priest, we can advance in the final act card. Right. So before the Mythos phase, the forced effect on the agenda card triggers. We have a ghoul enemy at the hallway, so we will place 1 doom on the agenda. Then we will place 1 more during the Mythos phase and draw 1 encounter card. Okay, we have Frozen in Fear. Understandable with the threat in front of us, but a very bad timing. So Frozen in Fear says, put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area the first time you perform one of the following actions: move, fight or evade. Each round it costs 1 additional action, and there's a forced effect at the end of your turn. Test your willpower against a difficulty of 3. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. So Roland is now frozen in fear after seeing the Ghoul Priest. So the first time we are attacking, we have to spend 2 actions instead of 1. And in the investigation phase, we will immediately attack the Ghoul Priest, spending 2 actions for our first attack. We will use the machete, because we currently have no clues at our location. The 38 special would also just increase our combat value by +1, so we might as well just use the machete. We have the Beat Cop, so we already have a combat value of 6 against the 4. And we will then... Okay, wow. We could... Let's see. We could even do something very funny here. I think we could defeat the Ghoul Priest without drawing Chaos tokens by playing 2 copies of Dynamite Blast. This will also deal 6 damage to us. We would survive. And we have 2 copies of Dodge in order to cancel the attacks of opportunities. So instead of drawing Chaos tokens or attacking, what we will do instead is something funny. So we will play Dynamite Blast. This is an event that costs 5 resources. It reads, choose either your location or a connecting location, deal 3 damage to each enemy and to each investigator at the chosen location. And let's count our resources. We need 3, 4, 5 for the first one. We have plenty. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Why not? So we'll play, or we initiate playing the Dynamite Blast. We will spend 5 resources. So we have here 2, 4, 5. Before the effect of Dynamite Blast can resolve, the Ghoul Priest is attacking us as an attack of opportunity. However, we will play Dodge. So this is another event that costs 1 resource. Has the fast keyword, which means it can be played during any player window and does not take an action. Play when an enemy attacks an investigator at your location. Cancel that attack. So the Ghoul Priest is attacking us as part of an attack of opportunity. We'll play Dodge to cancel his attack by spending 1 resource. Now the Dynamite Blast is resolving, so we will deal 3 damage to each enemy and to each investigator at the hallway. So, and very important, Dynamite Blast is not an attack, so playing this card does not take up 2 actions. And we will do the same again to defeat the Ghoul Priest. So we will play a second copy of Dynamite Blast, or we will initiate the card, paying 5 resources first. 2, 4, 5. And before the card's effect resolves, we get attacked by the Ghoul Priest, but we will play the second copy of Dodge to cancel his attack. And we will deal 3 more damage to the Ghoul Priest and 3 more damage to us. And that would defeat the Ghoul Priest. We have 6 out of 5 damage dealt. The Ghoul Priest is defeated without drawing from the Chaos bag. So we put him into the victory display, and we will then advance in the objective. So the game would end here. Let's first of all read the backside. Defending the home. When the robbed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. Okay, so we have won the first scenario of the Night of the Zealot by defeating the Ghoul Priest. We have 8 out of 9 damage, so we survived 2 Dynamite Blasts. And when the game ends, we will place any location with a victory, which has no clues on it, to our victory display or victory pile. So the cellar and the attic would be placed onto the pile, and that then we can see how many points we have collected for our next scenario. So we get 1 point by the cellar, 1 point by the attic, and 2 points from the Ghoul Priest, which is a total of 4 points. And we will also check the resolution. We will choose resolution 1, in which we will burn our house to gain control of Lita Chandler, but we will also take 1 mental trauma. That means the future scenarios we will have to start with 1 horror on Roland Banks, but we will see that in the next scenarios. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys also enjoyed it and learned some tricks. Then thank you for watching. See you in the second scenario, and bye bye. Resolution 1. You nod and allow the red-haired woman to set the walls and floor of your house ablaze. The fire spreads quickly, and you run out the front door to avoid being caught in the inferno. From the sidewalk, you watch as everything you own is consumed by the flames. "Come with me," the woman says. "You must be told of the threat that lurks below. Alone, we are surely doomed, but together, we can stop it."